One of the first videos that I put out on any social media, I talked about the use of compassion and how to actually use it as a weapon. Because if you try to leverage cruelty and violence, it does come back at you 100%. It will sow the seeds of your own destruction inevitably, and I do not believe it is a viable political strategy. Compassion, I think, is not only the virtuous answer, as much as you can apply it, but it is the effective strategy. If you surround yourself with compassionate, supportive, cooperative people, you will get a cooperation. And instead, if you surround yourself with divisive people, when pressure gets applied to you or to your group, you'll start eating each other. That's the difference between surrounding yourself with compassionate people and divisive people. And I think most people kind of already understand that. I think most people have an instinct for this, to avoid people that they can't trust when shit hits the fan, right? And divisive people are the people you cannot trust when shit hits the fan. But you can manage to convince people to work against their own best interest. You can convince people to become cruel, and they won't even realize it. The way you do this is through a mechanism called sadopopulism. I believe the term was created by Timothy Snyder. If you don't know him, he is a pretty prominent historian focusing in cultural aspects of Ukraine and Russia. He's focused a lot of time understanding how authoritarian systems work, and he noticed a pattern within it, is that when you have populist movements where people become so kind of disaffected from within their system, they'd rather watch the system crumble so that they can build something new out of it. And this can occur between right-wing populism and left-wing populism, right? It's populism for all, right? And I think that the United States right now is going through multiple different types of populist movements because America is going through an identity crisis. So where does the sadism come in at? The sado-populism. The way you do it is you, as the entity controlling your government, right, you try to ostracize aspects of your society and you limit their ability to be involved in electoral politics. You push them to the fringes and you kind of hide the real damage to whatever mainstream demographic that whatever demographic you need to hold on to power. So long as they're not made too uncomfortable, you can keep squeezing these marginalized groups more and more and more. And when so doing, the only people that now become engaged in the political process are the people who are immune or have been blinded to the cruelty of the government. And when this government inevitably no longer can actually keep its scam going, because authoritarian governments can't, they eat each other, like I've said before. So the way they escape the consequences of their own actions is they convince the primary demographic that keeps them in control that, hey, we know that your life has actually gotten worse through all this government mismanagement, but don't pay attention to that mismanagement, because aren't you thankful you're better off than those people beneath you? And from that point, you can start to convince people to take pleasure in the knowledge that while they themselves may be suffering at the hands of the government, at least they're not that bad like that. At least they're not nearly as pathetic as the people beneath them. And what starts to happen for people caught up in this is they gain a certain amount of self-actualization. They decide to relinquish their moral authority and influence over the government and instead take pleasure and consolation in the fact that at least they can hurt and harm and sow suffering on people beneath them. I want people to be very cautious about the type of cruelty that they witness and what they should never, ever agree to. Because when you do, you will completely sell your soul to a sado-populistic movement. And I don't think you'll ever get it back.